Welcome to Ecole Holt Couture, School of Couture Sewing and Design. We're standing here in the studio of this school. During the summer, when it's empty, we're between classes, and it gives us an opportunity to hold workshops or to do extra projects. I am Jutta Holtkamp, and I'm a couturier. I'm an instructor and an owner of Ecole Holt Couture. Now I'm going to be presenting to you a project that we did at the beginning of the summer for a bride to alter her wedding dress. She bought it ready-made and it didn't fit just quite right. I thought it would be interesting to share this one with you because it kind of gives you an insight as to what is involved in an alteration to have it when it's done professionally. Now this may be of interest to you if you are a sewing practitioner or just a novice. Perhaps you're a bride and wondering whether it'd be worthwhile to have a wedding dress couture made or whether to have a ready-made dress altered. It gives you an idea of just how much work goes into alterations, but there is something to be said for both. And the other thing is that it's not customary for us to share this type of information because we keep all of our client information confidential and all of our projects confidential, but the client gave us permission to use this as a tool for educational purposes. Now, we don't actually teach alteration skills here at the school. We teach sewing skills from very basic to very professional skills. So what we teach here is how to become a dressmaker, a couturier, or a tailor, as distinct from a seamstress or a fashion designer. So we teach you everything that you need to know, how to take a design from an idea, from a sketch, and bring it into reality. We don't do this for manufacturing. These are all one-of-a-kind pieces. So as a practitioner, you may never do the same thing twice. Now, many of you who love to sew probably have taken things apart. We call that reverse engineering. And there's a lot to be learned from reverse engineering. You can see exactly what component parts go into a garment, but it doesn't tell you the story of how it was done and why it was done and all the different techniques that are available. So that's another thing that we teach at the school, is that there's never one way to do something. There are many, many options to choose from, but there's always one that is better than another for a certain reason. I'd like to mention that we do not endorse or affiliate ourselves with any particular brand or designer or manufacturer. So the mention of any designer name or manufacturer is incidental to the project. So I hope you enjoy this series. Please let us know if you want to leave a comment in the comment box below. We're glad that you could join us. So this video series is broken down into a number of segments. We could have put the whole thing together and it would have probably been about an hour long. So you can watch these segments individually, or you can go back to them and refer to something that you are particularly interested in. So the first part is showing you the ready-made wedding dress and going through what we believe are good practices, good outcomes, good expectations of ready-made. And it also goes through and explains the alterations that are going to be made and for what reason they are being made. So this is a wedding dress, and I'm going to be doing some alterations on. And it is a ready-made dress, and it is customized, I think, in a little bit. But there are a few adjustments that need to be made. And I want to take you step by step through what the changes are going to be. So in the front, it has a deep plunging neckline, and just along here, this edge here, which follows the bust line, it's a little bit too revealing, so we're just going to add a little bit of lace to give a bit more coverage in the front. Now we're looking at the back view of the dress, and there needs to be some adjustment in and around the waistline here. So when the bride has it on, it buckles, it throws this deep furrow or this deep pleat in the waistline. So we need to shorten the waistline in the back, and also along the back edge here, it gapes along her back, so we need to take it in. You can see I've already marked it. That's how much we need to take it in along the back neckline, and it's the same on both sides. And then we also need to pinch it in or ease it in a little bit along the back of the where the armhole is. And the other thing that we're doing is we're going to create a bustle that can be tied up later after the dress has been worn and you're going to perhaps dance or you want to move around a lot. So because this is lace, I have decided to use safety pins to mark the pickup points for the bustle rather than just using thread, because thread often gets lost in lace, and this is the safest way to hold everything in place. Now if we have a really close look at the back here, you'll see what we need to do is we need to unpick the zipper, and you'll see that between the zipper and the edge of the dress, this is all in one. It's not the way that I would do it in couture. I would do it in a two-step or two-layer, but this is done in one. So we have the zipper and we have the loop all in one seam, and these are elasticated loops. And on the other side we have the zipper and the shoe size buttons. So we need to remove all of the buttons to well below the waist so that we have room to work. And we have to remove the loops, and we have to undo the zipper so that we have access to get inside. Now what that will mean is that the zipper will end up being about that much too long at the top. So we're going to deal with that as well. And if we look inside, this is a Liz Simon designed dress in Calgary, and it's actually very well made for a ready-made gown. It's very clean on the inside and in between the layers, and it also has this strap that goes here. It gets hooked before it's closed in the back, so that kind of supports the dress a wee bit in zipping it up. And they've done a really good job of creating a loop to keep that strap in place, and they've also added boning to the elastic so that it doesn't collapse. Now on one side the elastic is on one side of the loop, and on the other side it's on the other side of the loop. So I'm going to check into that later to make sure it's balanced evenly. Now again, as far as ready-made gowns goes, this is very well made, very well finished. There are no loose threads hanging, and if we look closely at the lining, which is actually two layers of a satin lining, it's polyester satin, and it is made like a dress in itself. You can see that it's finished properly, and that the seam, they've left seam allowances in the seams, which is good. Most of the time you'll see that they're serged edges, and the seam allowances are very narrow, and that doesn't make for a good seam. And it also, they've included what I call the stiffening in the hem. It's actually a horsehair stiffener It's a narrow one. It's not actually made out of horsehair anymore. It was originally, and that's why they called it horsehair. It's made out of polyester, and it's very flexible, so that helps keep the hem out. Then it has a layer of tulle, which is also polyester, and they have the lace over top. Now, if we look really close at the edge of the lace, they did finish the lace edge as well. It is a serged edge, but they didn't just cut it off, so that's a good thing for ready-made. And the lining, which is another layer on the inside, they made out of the same fabric, which is recommendable, and it's also very well finished, even though it is serged, and I wouldn't have serged it myself. But you can see the width of the seam allowances, and they are consistently that width throughout the dress. And they've also turned it up very, very narrow, but it's a nice clean finish. Back to the top of the gown, they have made spaghetti straps, and they are well stretched out. They don't have a fill in them, where in couture we actually do put fill in them so that they don't stretch any further. But they're well inserted, very cleanly done. And the inside of the bodice is very well finished. Like there's nothing that suggests that it's been shabbily done. And it also has built-in bra cups, which is a great thing for wedding gowns, because you don't want to wear a bra necessarily, and it'll give the support that is necessary. And they've also put boning in the bodice. Now they've used a polyester boning, which is great for limited wearing. It's not really the most comfortable type of boning available, but it is lightweight, and they've managed to put it in a logical sequence at all of the seams, wherever there's a seam, and in between where they need it. So all in all, this dress is very well made for manufactured in China. And now I'm going to go through step by step, and we're going to have to unpick everything to get inside to make the changes. Now, in the waist, how many layers are going to be working with? Well, we have to unpick the lace. Now, this isn't all one layer of lace all the way. It looks very well put together, so you don't even detect that the bodice and the skirt are made separately, but they are. The top lace has been overlapped and sewn by hand so that it kind of disguises where it is, but you can see right here is an overlap, whereas here you can see that the pattern is well matched, but it's not the pattern of the actual lace. And you can see that there are many layers of seam allowance in the waist. So if we count how many layers we have to adjust, there's the lining, and then there's the inner dress, which is another 2 layers, and then there's the tulle and the lace. So that's 5 layers of fabric that we have to adjust. We have to adjust all of them equally, and that would hold true for this area here, where we need to ease in the bodice at the back and let it run out, and we have to then overlay the lace so that it disappears, because we can't put a dart in lace. That's just not done. Okay, so I will then take you through step by step how this alteration goes, and we'll have a record of this particular alteration. So let's talk about the various different tasks involved in this alteration. The bustling, which doesn't need to be done first. I usually leave that to the end, but with that in mind, because with the bustling, we're going to hide a ribbon between the layers and a series of loops along these key points to bustle the train up for later. And these particular spots are not written in stone just yet. They were done during the fitting, but during the fitting you try several different things and you come close to something that the bride is happy with and that is good for the dress, overall silhouette, that it doesn't have any unsightly bulges, which can happen, and because when you put it together, it's going to bulk up. You just don't want it to bulk up in the wrong place. So when all of the rest of the alterations of the dress are done, we're going to concentrate on the bustle. So that's towards the end. Now, we need to add lace to the front of the bodice so that we get a little bit more coverage. And luckily, they did give the bride this little scrap of lace with the dress to perhaps, do some alterations or perhaps of an accident, which is marvelous because that's rare as well. And so we've also done a paper tracing of the lace that we're going to add. Now here you can see this is the plunge of the neckline, and this is the tracing of the lace, the way that we tried it on during the fitting, and it approximately goes like that. So we're going to add that lace, but when we add it, we're going to make sure that it looks like it was meant to be there in the first place and that it wasn't an afterthought. And a lot of this is going to be handwork, and like I said, we don't want it to look like an afterthought. We want to make it look as though it was designed like that in the first place. That is going to be a completely separate job, and so we've got the bustling, which is one job towards the end. There's the front, which is going to be added in here. Separate job. I don't anticipate opening up any of these seams. It's all going to be overlay. Not that sometimes we don't do it, but in this case I don't think it's necessary. And the other major part of this, and they're connected, is that we need to get inside the bodice to create this easing, this roundness over the back, and we need to lift the center of the skirt to the bodice, and it runs out towards the side seam. So this part and this part are related. We're going to work on those together. So that means we need to get into the bodice, we need to open it up and work on those two things at the same time.